Afternoon. How are you diddling? Uh, yes, indeed, it is the afternoon. I keep thinking it's the morning. It's not. It's afternoon. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Dazed and Confused, my 3 times a week live show, answering your social media and video questions. Today is slightly different, but we'll get to that in a moment. If you are brand new to these broadcasts, though, whatever platform you're watching on, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you are, don't forget the platforms are always open for you to ask your questions. And you can ask some slightly different questions today because I'm going to be interviewing somebody in a moment. And he uses social media, but he hasn't got a social media background. We'll come to that in a second. First things first, who am I to tell you anything? I'm Simon Scholes. I'm the founder and creative director of Perception Studios. We're an award-winning visual marketing agency. We create videos, content, graphic, branding, all sorts of types of stuff for brands and businesses to try and make their social media content stand out a bit more than it usually does. However, a few years ago, I had a big life-changing moment, and I realized that not everybody had this endless budgets of some of the companies we were working with to create content on a regular basis. However, social media, as we should all know by now, it's all about consistency, all about putting content out there, all about giving value. So what could you do and how could I help you to create what you do for free? So I sat down, I came up with a process, I turned it into a book, I called it How to 9 Times Your Social Media. And it was basically what a lot of other people were preaching and I'd been preaching for a long time, which is all about repurposing your content, making it work harder for you, making you get yourself onto that content creation journey by giving you some time back, because a lot of small businesses struggle with time. So that was what that was all about. That's what these live broadcasts are all about as well, is talking about social media, about video, how it helps different brands and businesses, which is why I'm going to be chatting to the person I'm going to be chatting to this morning. So without further ado, let's bring him in on the stream. This is Skinny Gene Gardner, or more commonly known as, which one do you prefer, Lee or Skinny?
Well, I get called Mr. Skinny, Mr. Gene. Once I got called Gene. Some old lady come up to me on a stage and said, "Do you know when Gene Gardner's going to be on?" And I said, "Well, there's no such person, but I am Gene." And then she walked off and never watched me. So that was good. You can call me Lee, though, mate. That's fine.
I'll call you Lee. Okay, so as the name would suggest, Skinny Gene Gardner, you're a gardener. That's how did you get into gardening in the first place? That's kind of probably the best place to start. Is it something you've done your whole life? Were you a landscape gardener originally? Because we'll come on to your story, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's something that I really come into really late in my, I say really late, I was 25, which actually seems like quite a long time ago now. I'm 32. But yeah, I come into it at 25 and never did any gardening when I was younger. So it was just never a thing that I did. I actually I was an electrician for the first part of up to 25, and gardening was never even a thought, mate. Even a thought.
So where did the passion come from then? If it was not something you'd ever done, was it like maybe a family member and you kind of had fond memories of your mum gardening, or was it just something you just kind of fell into? Or
I had no fond memories of gardening apart from my dad telling me not to hit the ball into the pots.
Oh, I know that. I remember that well. Yeah,
but yeah, I got it. The reason I actually got into it is because I left my family home with my mum and dad and my brother, and I moved in with my wife, my now wife, my current wife. She doesn't like being called that, and and yeah, so me and my brother missed each other. Basically, we missed each other, and we were not very good at football. We weren't very good. We tried to be in a band, and that didn't work out because we couldn't sing or play instruments, which apparently is pretty essential. And we decided that gardening was one of the things we had no idea about, and we're both at the same level. So why not get into it and learn together? So that's really how it all come about.
Brilliant. And so did you do lots of qualifications together, or was it just kind of learning on the job? I know a lot of people who have kind of done this themselves have kind of started off and they rip out bushes and then go, oh crap, actually that should probably really be there, kind of thing. Yeah. Is that kind of how you guys learn?
That's exactly it. That was exactly how exactly how it worked. We got an allotment. We got half an allotment from a vicar randomly who said he wasn't using it, and we just went all in, to be honest with you. And the one thing, it was just, I mean, I feel like social media's been around for quite a while, but we had never really touched it then. I suppose it was still quite early. I don't know how long social media been around for, Simon.
15 years. I mean, longer than that, really, if you count MySpace and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, well, Twitter. Well, maybe Twitter had just been a bit. I don't know. Anyway, we hit Twitter and we started asking people about gardening questions we had no idea about. Like, we honestly thought potatoes grew above ground, cauliflower's under. We had zero clue about gardening, and we hit Twitter, started asking questions, and then Jimmy Doherty, who is Jamie Oliver's friend, but he has a career on his own. He probably doesn't like being called Jamie Oliver's friend. As a farm just up the road from us, and he had an allotment for a long time on that farm, and his wife Michaela looked after it, and then she had kids, and then that sort of got neglected a little bit. And he said to us, he spotted us on Twitter, and obviously because we were called the Skinny Jean Gardeners at the time, and said he thought the name was quite interesting, wanted to see what we were all about, and we went up there and then started a kitchen garden up there. So that was the first year of our garden experience. So
wow, I mean, that right place, right time kind of thing, really. Then
yeah, that's it. I mean, it just sort of shows you the power of social media. I don't know if I'd even have a career without it to begin with, to be honest with you. So
yeah. I mean, we'll chat more about social media in a bit. So to give people more of an overview of where it's taken you, you've written a book about getting kids gardening with the family. I mean, how did that come about?
That was something. So we went to Jimmy's anyway. We started this kitchen garden, Simon, right? And it was going really well. We were learning from social media. We were learning from the people, the visitors that came down, which was fantastic. They thought they were going to get advice from us. They didn't. We were trying to get advice from them. Which was great. So we started a bit of a community. We got our friends down there. We're having evenings down there building this kitchen garden. All the food started to be used in the restaurant there, which was fantastic. And from that, we met Jamie Oliver, and we did a few bits with him for his YouTube channel. And we also started doing bits for Food Revolution, which was to get food into schools and the whole turkey twizzler situation. And then Blue Peter came along, and we become Blue Peter. I mean, I'm brushing over a few other facts that happened in between, but the short story is we become Blue Peter gardeners for 3 years, and that was amazing. No one ever thought. I certainly didn't think I'd be on Blue Peter, so that was pretty cool. And then the book come along only last year, so we obviously really got into kids gardening through Blue Peter, which was amazing. We visited schools, and everything we created from Blue Peter was stuff that was just hanging around the house. Like we were getting asked to do blogs and pieces in magazines, which when you first start out, I mean, even now you don't get a lot from magazine stuff, but we were doing for nothing. So I didn't want to go out and buy products to create these things. So I was just using stuff around the house, which turns out makes an incredible book.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. And like you say, it's all about affordability, especially right now. But at any time, it's all about trying to make things affordable, easy for people to do. Is it easy just to go and grab a mum's old pair of tights and do something with it, make it into a flower basket or what have you? I don't know if that's something you've ever done, but if it's not, then you can have that one. Make a note of that. So yeah, I mean that is a big thing for a lot of people. So is the kids gardening thing now kind of where you're trying to niche yourself? Is that what you're trying to really work a lot on? I mean, you go to your website, obviously it's all about trying to get the family involved and mostly the kids, because they are the next generation, let's be honest, as much as we don't want to be getting older ourselves.
Definitely. I mean, I do a lot of stuff with schools, and there's a big thing that I'm starting next year with schools, but it's always been about the family. Like my book, I can't remember what the bit's called, but it's called How to Get Kids Gardening, and underneath it says creating, what the heck, what does it say? Creating real memories as a family, because for me, I've got a little daughter, and the best memories I've had with her is actually being out in the garden, spending time with each other. Even my wife doesn't massively like gardening. She'll come out if we've got a little activity going on, and it makes a good memory. And she always talks about the stuff that we've built or created together. I think that's really important. Like you say, the biggest problem is sometimes cost, especially with gardening. And if you want to get families of all sizes and generations and everything,
all
if you want to
demographics.
if you want to get them involved, then don't put cost as a brick wall. Don't put it in the way. So make it easy. Make it stuff that you've got around the house. Recycle, upcycle, all that sort of thing, and just get out there and do it. A bit like how I got into gardening. Just get out there, get digging, and see how you get on.
Just give it a crack. Yeah, I mean, what's the worst can happen? You can just dig something up that you kind of replant and hope it doesn't die, kind of thing, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's really interesting. Like you mentioned about qualification stuff earlier, and when we were obviously on TV and doing stuff like that, I was constantly asked, "Are you going to do some qualifications? Are you going to do this and you're going to do that?" And let's be honest, if you're a parent and you've got a job going on the side, you're working a job, and you've also got the kids, there ain't a massive amount of time in a nice dream world. There's loads of time to do stuff like that. Doesn't really work like that, does it? And so I try and stay on the same level. Not, obviously I've learned a lot more through experience, but I'm not here spitting out Latin words for plants and stuff because it just goes over people's heads. So I always use my mate Jason's a real good example because he likes his garden, likes getting outside with his family, and he's just started getting into a bit of grow your own. If I start saying all these Latin words for stuff, which most of them I don't know, then it's just going to get bored of it and it's just going to go over his head. He's not going to understand it.
Yeah.
It'll just confuse things.
We were chatting about Gary V just a minute ago, actually, before we went live, and he did the same thing with wine. It was like lots of people going, "Oh yes, I'm getting overtones of almond," and he'd be like, "You remember bubble gum back in the 80s? It tastes just..." And so it's essentially the same kind of thing, isn't it? It's like, don't confuse the crap out of people. It's not a science. It is, but it's not. It doesn't have to be a science. It just has to be something everybody can enjoy.
But I don't know, Tom. Do you know who Monty Don is?
I absolutely do know who Monty Don is. Gardening world. I do.
A lot of my friends I'll say about Monty Don, they're like, "Who's Monty Don?" In fact,
He's
one of them
god
said
of gardening, basically, isn't he? So
well, I thought so, but one of them goes, "Oh, was he the guy that was on that Alan Partridge sketch once?" I was like, "Yeah, more than just that, but yes, he was." But the way he describes gardening, and his garden is absolutely incredible, but for, like I say, for normal people that have jobs and either just have a courtyard or a balcony or just not a massive gardening, watching Garden's World, as great as it is, it just doesn't connect with them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do for families and people, trying to connect that gardening, make it simple, make people not worry about making mistakes.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you think social media has helped you do that?
Oh, mate, massively. Firstly, putting me in contact with people, and if I chuck something out there, I usually get a good response from people, and they sort of tell me what they're thinking and what they're doing. As a communication device, it is amazing. Like I don't know up to this point how I would have created a business from it. Like. Because the thing for me is like people always say, "Oh, you must do gardening," and you must. I always get asked, "Can you price to come and cut my lawn twice a week and stuff like this?" And I'm like, well, I'm not really trying to explain. I'm not really that type of gardener. Although I have just cut my own lawn for this first time in a month. I'm not really that type of gardener. I'm more about getting kids involved, and especially for the school side of things. So, but social media is my main income, the main way I make money. To be able to fund, which to begin with, it was like, let's get 1 billion subscribers, let's get all these followers, and then let's start raking in that money. Doesn't work like that all the time, and so you have to start thinking of different ways and creating different products and things that are going on. And for me, it is all to fund me being able to get gardening to schools and getting kids gardening. I mean, sure, I need to pay the mortgage, but the majority of it, like the book, all the profits from that go into more kids gardening and stuff like that. So So yeah, it's my main business now, and that's tough in the garden industry because what was it? 2 years ago, I got chucked. The last time I did a talk about social media, I almost got chucked out of the NEC because I told the garden industry that all garden centres will be gone in 10 years.
You're probably not far wrong. Obviously this year's probably helped a little bit, but you're probably not far wrong.
The audience of garden centres owners didn't think quite the same.
Remind me not to get speaking to get a gardening event then. So, I mean, obviously your audience is on social media. Where do you feel is probably the best channels for you? Are you trying to talk more to the parents of the kids, or are you trying to talk to the kids, or is it kind of like a 50-50? So you're kind of splitting your time between TikTok, for example, and Snapchat, and then Facebook, where the parents will be hanging out.
Yeah, it's to be honest with you, when I really started getting into this, I could have gone two ways. I could have gone down the kids' route and started being Mr. Tumble, and I have got an entertainment show that I do for kids at shows that is around that, but that's not my primary thing. I'm more speaking to the parents because the parents, the teachers, and the people, the decision makers. Really, let's be honest, the kids. Although if you take my daughter to a toy shop, she pretty much is the decision maker. Or if not, we've got a right scene going on. But yeah, the parents really is where it's at for me, and talking to them. So yeah, it's an interest. I mean, things do change. I mean, at the moment, I'm doing a show a bit like this, but 4 nights a week over all the social medias, and trying to start a bit of community through that.
Yeah, but then it's good to watch. I enjoy watching it. I tune in when I can. So
yeah, cheers, dude. But then on the flip side, I've just created a product that is. So I've got the podcast as well. I should have mentioned the podcast. That's also the main thing that I do. But then I've just created a product which is launching this week, next week. That is a podcast for kids that launches in the new year, which is going to be a breakfast podcast every Saturday, so the whole family can listen while they're eating breakfast, and then go and create some garden ideas. So that's something else that's going on as well. But yeah, my life of social media is ups and downs, mate. I've just recently unfollowed everyone on social media.
I did notice when I popped onto like the Twitter channel, and you're following. Is it yourself, the other channel that you're following? Yeah. But that was kind of it. There was nothing else there.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people say, "Have I done something wrong to you?" Or, but I mean, you must know what it's like. If you work in social media, you can get really sucked into it. And I personally was just on it too much. I was just looking at just rubbish. I am setting up a separate one, but just a private one, so I can see what the people I want. I was following over 2,000 people.
Yeah.
I don't know 2,000 people. I mean, I'm sure I followed them at the time for a good reason, but I was just flicking through. I had to get rid of TikTok. I love TikTok. I loved your TikToks. But again, I had to get rid of that because I was too. I was spending so much time. You do
get drawn into TikTok a lot, very easily. So, I mean, if nobody's ever seen any of your stuff, you've obviously got the recent documentary as well, the School of Gardening, I think it was called, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, is there plans to do more of that kind of stuff? Like that was a video-based piece about getting the kids in schools gardening and stuff. Is there plans to do a next step of looking at the kids who had been doing gardening, or?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, definitely. So the school tour documentary, which I produced, was from March, just before lockdown. If you watch it, you'll think, what's he doing? But there's a lot of high-fiving, cuddling, shaking hands. I mean, I don't know if some of the youngsters have ever heard of that before, but we used to do it back in March. And yeah, so it's all about getting kids into gardens, seeing what schools have, and like I said, there's all different types of families in the country, and exactly the same for schools. They've got different kids that have different size gardens. And I was going from one school which all the kids had farms, and then 10 minutes later I was traveling to another school where a child just has a little windowsill. So for me, it got me to understand the situation around the country. And yeah, there's going to be obviously progress from that, and filming and documenting it. But yeah, I had to fund that myself. It was. I'm pleased I did. the actual brand that sponsored that didn't want to fund it, but I thought it needed to be documented, and that's the biggest thing, like documenting stuff. Had I not have filmed it and got aid to come and film it for me, then that adventure would have just got lost in the in the thing. I used to film this stuff myself. Do you know what I mean? Like it's an important.
It is documenting everything. I'm a big believer for a lot of brands and a lot of businesses, whatever they do, that behind the scenes will. I've said it a few times to people recently. We live in a voyeuristic age. That's why Big Brother, it's why Love Island, and all those other bags of shit TV succeed so well, because people like to see what's going on when people don't think they're being watched, or that behind the scenes element. How did I come up with this piece of artwork? How did I design this landscape garden, and why did I come up with this particular design? And the stuff that's gone wrong as well. I was chatting to somebody recently who's a project I'm going to be working on, which is really exciting. I was like, we don't want just the good bits in there. We want to show when it's gone tits up, because that's going to be really powerful to people. They're going to learn more from that than anything else where you've done it right.
Yeah. You want to see the story. It's about story, isn't it, Simon? That's what it's about. You want to see that journey. Absolutely. So what is next for Skinny Jean Gardener? Obviously, you've spoken about the next documentary, hopefully, when things return to normality. Is there any more books in the offing? What's next? Yeah, I want to do another book. I didn't enjoy writing it, but I enjoyed putting all my ideas into it. I'm not a writer. I'm a talker. I'm not a writer. But I'd like to do another one just because I've got more ideas that I want to do. The biggest thing for me which I thought would be a year project, but I think I'm going to give it 10 years now, is to get gardening into schools. It's my biggest thing. And at the moment,
the curriculum or something, or just something that they do.
I mean, I think taking it to the government and doing all that thing. I mean, to be fair, they've got a lot on their end there the table at the moment. is difficult, and I'm not sure if that's the first step quite yet. That could come back in 5 years' time. That could be the thing that I'm looking at. The biggest thing at the moment is for me to get it into schools and support teachers and give them, basically make it easy for schools and make it an easy yes. So keep the costs down for them and give them the support, because it's great the schools that we visited that did have the teachers that love gardening. But the schools that didn't have the teachers, you could see that they needed help and they need that. But they've got enough going on as it is, let alone some guy rocking up saying, you should garden. Like, they need that support.
Yeah.
So over the next 5 to 10 years, which seems like a long time, doesn't it? But I want to give myself plenty of time. That's my goal. It's took a while. It's took a while to understand. And that's a little bit goes back to why I deleted all these lovely people on social media, because that was taking up more of my time. And as amazing as it is, you always talk about it. Looking at numbers and stuff is a downhill. I don't know. What
it's just not. It's not what you want to be looking at. You just work on the engagement, and the people who follow you give a damn about what it is that you got to say. Definitely. Yeah,
that's it. So, and I've only really recently started to get into that and remember what's important. And providing value to people, which is really important, because come when I get to 60 years old, I'm not going to look back and say, "Cool, I can't believe in 2024 I got 200 views on something."
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not going to be on your deathbed and go, yeah. 1,311 views on that documentary, whatever. Yeah.
Good year for subscribers, guys. Anyway, see you later. It's not going to happen. So, everyone needs to. I mean, that's more business side of what I need. I'm currently changing up.
That's cool. That's a big project. It's good to have that long-term viewpoint, really, of exactly where you want to be heading.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, funding it wise is another thing. Like, trying to get. I'm very much about getting brands on board. At the moment, talking to brands about looking forward to 10 years' time is a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
No one's thinking of pretty much everyone's thinking I'll be retired by then. No one's thinking about these kids, which will be used in a product, and then remember in 10, 15, 20 years' time when they get back to gardening that brand got them into it. That's a really difficult thing to try and explain to brands.
Yeah.
I'll try, mate.
I mean, I've spoken about brands getting it completely wrong for quite a long time. M&S being one of my favourites. I'm not going to get brought back down that road side again, but yeah, they complain about not having any business, but then you look at their social channels and who they're talking to, and the people they're talking to are not going to be there with the best will in the world. They're not going to be their customers in 5 or 10 years. It's going to be somebody very, very different, and they're not appealing to.
I did a great gardening thing in March, mate. But
I've had a couple of questions come through, so they are gardening based rather than obviously social media based. So I hope you don't mind me just hitting you with these, and hopefully you're able to help. The first one's from me. What have you got against artificial grass?
Have you got artificial grass?
No, I've got a flat. So
right, I would have literally come off this screen. What have I got against it? I think it's really bad for the planet. It doesn't help with wildlife, and anyone that says that it is, what do people say, that it's not? Oh, I haven't got time to cut the grass, and I it just sorts itself out. Well, it doesn't sort itself out, because you've got to be the Wally that goes out there with a Hoover and hoover your lawn, right? So it looks great for that time, but when you're out there with the old Dyson,
yeah,
it doesn't look so good, does it?
and if there's anything this year has taught us about nature and everything else like that, obviously there's been that essential reset right at the very start, when for the first 4 weeks it was kind of resetting, and then the next 8 weeks before things started to move again, you started hearing the birds more often, you started seeing more insects about. We'd go to the local park. There's like a big green area near us, and we'd walk around there and play with my little one, and there'd be bumblebee. And I was like, I don't remember the last time I actually saw a bumblebee. Bees, yeah, you see them, but an actual bumblebee, and there was loads of them, and it's like, and they were all around the grass and going for all the dandelions and the daisies and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. Grass helps. It's not just flowers, it helps on every level, really, doesn't it?
Everything. It's the bugs, the worms, the birds. It's to feed the birds. It's like, even for me, through lockdown, all of a sudden we started getting a lot more bats in the evening, which is amazing. And all feeding off the grass. Obviously the bugs that are on the grass. It was incredible to see them swooping down. I mean, I was quite scared for a little bit until my 5-year-old daughter came out and was like, nothing. So I had to sort of put a brave face on. But
everything's all right, Daddy.
Yeah, it's all, yeah, sure. But yeah, I mean, wildlife's never had such a good summer, really, is it? Unfortunately, what I thought was going to happen and what will happen is people will go back to their normal life, which, what can be done. But yeah, for that summer 2020, wildlife never had it so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question comes through from Ruth, and she's saying, I've got a composting question. Should I have a tumbler or a stationary bin? And do you have any tips for composting?
Yeah, keep layering is the biggest thing. Don't let it get too wet. If you've got grass, if you are putting grass in it, it can get really wet. So ripped up cardboard is the best thing. I've never had a tumbler one. I think that's one of them ones that like that.
Yeah.
I've got a hot bin.
Like a big metal bin kind of thing, is it then? Yeah.
It's like a really insulated, thick, black composter which gets up to, I don't know, 80 degrees something. And apparently you could put a whole chicken in it and it will compost down, but I wouldn't advise that because it's the old rats. But food scraps are good, but just keep layering is the thing.
Cool. Okay. And one from Paul. I've got a harvest of green tomatoes. As it's getting colder, should I bring them in to ripen or leave them outside?
Definitely bring them in and put them in a box with banana. Okay,
I've heard that with avocados. Is that obviously the case with tomatoes as well? Then,
yeah, bring them in. That's funny you say that. I'm actually doing exactly the same today. So a few of my tomato plants got a few left over, and I'm just clearing them out today. So yeah.
Cool. One last one. Jenny has asked, what garden plants should I use in flower boxes? I live in a flat. Obviously, coming up to winter, so what would you recommend? Cyclamen
Well, actually,
and that kind of stuff?
well, do you know what? The one thing I do is put some bulbs in there. Like this is the main time, like tulip bulbs. I didn't used to like them. I thought they were a bit boring. Me and my daughter put them in around this time last year, and it was the best thing I've ever put in there. Like I always say that gardening's about patience, and obviously it takes, you have to watch throughout the whole of winter. But when they start popping through in the spring, early Feb, late Feb time, best thing. Just being able to watch the growth of it. So just whack tulip bulbs in.
Bro, and are they able to, if you wanted to put something else into the box as well to flower during winter, is that all right, or will that take away nutrients and stuff, or because it's such a small place?
You can plant other stuff up if that's what you want to do.
There we go. Excellent. We've answered everybody's questions. That's what we like to see. Lee, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for doing this and chatting us through your story. And if anybody wants to find you and where you are on social media, I'll make sure I get all your links, your podcast, everything else like that, and I'll stick them in the section below after this broadcast so that we can point everybody in your direction and make sure that they go and learn about getting the kids gardening and even maybe just giving it a go themselves if they haven't even got any kids as well.
That's it, mate. Just chuck something in the soil and you'll be all right.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for chatting to us, and take it easy. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. There you have it. Thank you very much to Lee. Thank you very much to you for tuning in and watching as well. If you do have any other questions, if you're watching on the replay now, maybe listening on the podcast, stick them into the comments, put #replay on there, and then we can pass those on to Lee, and then hopefully he can answer those for you in the near future. But until Friday, thank you very much for watching. If you're brand new, as always, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you on Friday. But until then, in these weird times, please continue to stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.